All right, I love this next story. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has now been caught on audio recordings from a little while ago, slamming Trump and saying Joe Biden's actually good. Joe Biden is the best person in this post-Trump riot moment that the United States faced over a year ago. You have to listen to this stuff to believe it. So let's get right into it. New audio tapes have leaked of Senator Lindsey Graham saying Trump went too far and plays the TV game while calling Biden the best person to have post January 6th. Now, these are reasonable comments. It's yes, Trump has gone too far. Trump plays the TV game. Joe Biden was at least a good person to have in that he brings calm and rationality and sort of the opposite of the mania of much of the right. But the reason it's notable is that Lindsey Graham is a Republican senator, and publicly he was praising Trump and saying Trump's great and all these different things, with occasional moments of disagreeing with Donald Trump. A new audio has leaked of Senator Lindsey Graham revealing his feelings about Biden and Trump. Graham is heard saying he thinks Biden is the best person to have after the Capitol riot. Graham also criticizes Trump in another tape, saying he plays the TV game and went too far. So let's get to some of these clips, some of this audio. Take a listen.
We'll actually come out of this thing stronger. Moments like this reset. It'll take a while. People will calm down. I don't want to be associated with that.
So this is from the book This Will Not Pass by Jonathan Martin and Alex Burns. This is where a lot of these leaked recordings of Kevin McCarthy criticizing Trump and others have come from. And the picture that we're increasingly having painted for us is of prominent Republicans who publicly were 98 or 99 or 100% behind Trump, but privately knew how bad he was and were actually saying so sometimes. Let's continue.
This is a group within a group. And what this does, there'll be a rallying effect for a while where the country says we're better than this.
Now, what's fascinating about that, before we get to now he's going to praise Joe Biden, Lindsey Graham and Kevin McCarthy and others, they thought, they were expecting in the immediate aftermath of the Trump riots, they were expecting that everybody, including the Republican Trump base, would say, this is too far. This was wrong. This was Trumpist. Trump incited it. Everybody sees what happened and they would denounce it. But then internal polling started to say otherwise. Internal polling started to say, actually, Republicans have fallen for Biden stole the election. Some of them fell for it was Antifa / Black Lives Matter / the FBI who did the riots. They fell for it. And then we very quickly realized that the private expectations of people like Lindsey Graham and Kevin McCarthy, that the country is not going to stand for this. We can step away from Trump because everybody's going to. They were wrong. And then they had to backtrack. Here is Lindsey Graham talking about Biden being a good person to actually have at this point in time. I'm trying to get the shot right for everybody here so we can see this. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, totally. He'll be maybe the best person to have, right? I mean, how bad can you get it, Joe Biden?
Graham says Joe Biden is maybe the best person to have in the aftermath of the Trump riots. Wow. Wow.
So if you compare January 6th Lindsey Graham to the Lindsey Graham of today, how stark are the differences? Because we should point out that Lindsey Graham publicly said that he had, right. he hated the way it ended with him and Trump, but he'd had enough.
Yeah, you can almost hear in his voice, Anderson, Senator Graham trying to sort of play out what the impact of this attack, which, as we talked, was still sort of ongoing as we spoke.
So there is Lindsey Graham saying Trump's a pretty good person for this. Let me see if we can get, there was one more clip I was hoping to play. I guess I don't have it. Okay, which is fine. But I believe we have the okay. I have a transcript of the second tape. In a second tape, Graham criticizes Trump's rhetoric prior to the riot. He was accused of inciting. Quote, he plays the TV game and he went too far here. That rally didn't help. Talking about primarying Liz Cheney, he created a sense of revenge. So I've said this before, and I'm going to restate it. I believe that this is worse than being a true believer. The true believers who really support Trump, they're only wrong and their moral compass is misguided. And we can make a lot of criticisms of the true believers of Trump. The false believers, I believe, are even worse, because on top of all of the bad things that they are supporting by publicly supporting Donald Trump, they are knowingly allowing their country to be damaged for purposes of political expediency or maintaining access to the office of the presidency or maintaining a favorable relationship with their constituents or whatever the case may be. I think that the false believers are worse from a moral standpoint. And we can put Mitch McConnell in this as well to some degree. I mean, in the immediate aftermath of the Trump riots, Mitch McConnell clearly expected to some degree that the vast majority of the Republican base would dump Trump. But Mitch McConnell was part of the Republicans who also thought the Republican base would never choose Trump as their nominee back in 2015 and 2016. So he's been wrong time and time again. He's been wrong every time about now they're going to ban it. And so they end up having to kind of backtrack. And for someone, I mean, listen, Mitch McConnell, Graham, they're not political idiots. To some degree, they're a little bit astute when it comes to politics in some sense. They all seem unable to realize how monstrously unaffected of a significant portion of the Trump base is by the things that actually take place. Go all the way back to grab them by the you-know-what and that tape. It almost seems quaint and naive in some weird way to think back to when we thought, wow, Trump's primary candidacy, it's got to be over, right? I mean, grab him by the you-know-what. You can just do what you want and all these allegations. It didn't matter anymore. It didn't matter. And it is a monstrous base. And if we've learned one thing, it's that if you overestimate the morality and intelligence of the Trump base, you end up being wrong. You end up disappointed or in places you don't necessarily expect to be. And that's what happened to Lindsey Graham. It's what happened to Kevin McCarthy. It's what happened to Mitch McConnell. They expected at some point their base would wake up to the madman that was Trump, and they never did. And these are their constituents. One of our sponsors is called Privacy. Privacy is a totally free service that I've been using for years. Privacy lets me create virtual payment cards with one click. And when I use the virtual card, the money is taken out of my bank account. You can create multiple cards, delete them, freeze them, set a spending limit on them. Let's say I'm signing up for a free trial and it requires a credit card. Privacy will autofill a virtual card number. And then after signing up, I can delete that virtual card. So I know I'm not going to be charged again. Something really useful and very practical. Or let's say I'm ordering food over the phone, but I left my wallet somewhere. I don't have my real credit card on me. I can use a virtual card on my Privacy mobile app. But really the best part is you're not out there exposing your real credit card number, so you're not as susceptible to data breaches and identity theft. Privacy is a totally free service, and you'll get $5 to spend when you go to privacy.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.